Hello and welcome back to Rise with Raluca. Today we are talking about ancestral healing and whether or not you need to forgive your ancestors as part of your healing journey. So, if you're part of this world, you know that you will see differing opinions on this. So, some people will say you need to go through your ancestral healing. You're holding on to trauma and patterns from your ancestry. And as part of your journey, you need to forgive your ancestors. But on the other hand, you will see people saying there's nothing to forgive your ancestors for. All the things that they went through, the trauma and the famine and the war and what they needed to do to survive, there's nothing to forgive them for. And both of these things coexist. And that's what we're talking about today because these are both true. And we're going to talk about how to navigate this in your healing journey, how to approach this, and also have compassion. So let's dive into what ancestral healing is and why this is important. So, ancestral healing, we can carry trauma from our ancestry from 7 generations back. Trauma can be carried through the lineage, through DNA imprints, and passed on for 7 generations until somebody feels it and heals it. This means that, if somebody was abused, if somebody was killed, if somebody was cheated on, if somebody had, issues with control or hard relationships, if they lacked trust, just any kind of trauma, any events that were intense and they weren't properly felt and healed, that was passed on. It could also look like fear of illness or fear of death, fear of cancer, fear of getting sick. If somebody experienced that and didn't properly feel it and process it and release it, it gets passed down. And this is why people will have patterns that they don't even know where they have come from. Like maybe you're afraid of your partner cheating on you, and there's absolutely no reason for you to have that. But if you learn more about, your family line or your grandma or whatever, you will find out that that happened in their life or like even farther down the line. I know it's harder to track down the farther back you go, especially because there could be so many more grandparents involved. But this is what happens, right? Our environment affects our DNA and how our genes are expressed. And when the trauma, the fear, the feelings, the sadness, it's not allowed to be felt and moved through. It's internalized and it affects the body and it affects the DNA. So these events shift us on a cellular level, and if they're not processed, they get passed down, right? So in reverse, if somebody heals these things, if they process these feelings, as they do that, they heal themselves on a cellular level and they pass down healing. They heal this for themselves and for the rest of the lineage and the lineage in the past, right? So, the reason it comes up to forgive your ancestors is because as you start doing this work and you discover these things that you carry, these emotions, these patterns that you carry that aren't even yours, these fears that you carry that aren't even yours, this mistrust in other people that's not even yours, is not coming from something you did. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be angry, right? So there is a forgiveness that is needed there. So you need to feel those feelings, to feel that anger, to feel that frustration, and then forgiving. And it's not even about like forgiving. The forgiveness is not for your ancestors, right? Like it doesn't, they don't care. I mean, maybe they do, but right, like it doesn't affect them if you're frustrated or not. It's you. It is for you that you need to forgive. Because think about it. If somebody is like mad at you and you don't even know about it, what do you care? How does it affect your life? It doesn't. So it's not about like being like, oh, you did something wrong and I forgive you. It's more the forgiveness that you are frustrated, that you are carrying something that's not yours and it's been impacting your life and it's been impacting how you make your decisions. It's been impacting the patterns that keep repeating in your life. You keep having repeating patterns, maybe cycles in your relationship, maybe, you know, you're hiding and you don't understand why. So part of it could be past lives, which we're going to talk about another time. Part of it could be something that happened in childhood, which is easier to address. And part of it could be in your lineage. And as you go into the healing world, you will know, like as you go through your journey, you will come across times where you find out which one it is. There's different ways to encounter this. Maybe it's a healer that told you, maybe it is something that you feel truth within your bones. Maybe it's you learning about your immediate family and learning something about your grandparents or great grandparents or your parents, and you're like, oh, this is where this comes from, right? So you are allowed to be upset and angry and frustrated that something that you are carrying is not yours. But it is not about that person. It is not about, the person in the ancestry. It's not about being like, oh, I'm so mad at you that you didn't deal with this. Well, like that's part of it. You can be mad that they didn't deal with it and it got passed down to you. But forgiveness is for you. It is so you don't have to carry that resentment. You don't have to carry that energy, right? And as you start spotting it and realizing it's not even yours after you're frustrated of how it impacted you and that you have to deal with it and it's not even yours, um, then you can actually release it. You can actually move through it. The awareness is the biggest piece, and then it's the process of moving through it and reprogramming it. And this is what we do in our work together. This is what my course, The World is Your Mirror, that's coming out, is also going to help through. I also have something else coming out to help with processing these triggers and beliefs and emotions. So stay tuned for that. But this is work you can do yourself. This is work you could do with a healer. So, um, if we're working together, if we do this a few times, you get kind of the hang of it, and it is something that you are able to learn to move through on your own. It's light, it's easier when somebody's holding space for you and guiding you, but this is absolutely something you can do on your own, because this is something that I do for myself. I move myself through a lot of these things too. So you become aware that what you're holding on to isn't yours. You are forgiving your ancestry, because just that part, because you're frustrated that you're carrying something that's not yours, you didn't choose it. It's been affecting your life and you're frustrated about it, right? And then you have to release it and reprogram it and bring in a new belief, right? We're never the victim. It doesn't end there. We can't, I see a lot of people stopping there, right? Like, this is the way I am because blah, 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 blah. This is the way I am because this happened in my childhood. This is the way I am because my parents and my grandparents are like this, and this is just how we are. No, that's not it. That's an excuse. It doesn't end there. It ends there if you want to stay stuck in the story, but you're not the victim. Like we talked in our last episode, you are not the victim. You are always empowered. So when you notice these things, it is up to you to do something to change it. and you have the power to reprogram yourself. You have the power to choose something new. Okay? So, on the flip side, talking about how you don't need to forgive your ancestors because of all the things that they went through. They were busy dealing with famine, with, just trying to survive. They were dealing with wars. They were dealing with so many other things. The times before us did not have the luxuries that we do right now, did not have, the consistent food and shelter and the comforts that we have now. So they were more in survival. Their priority was not like healing the inner world. That is our priority. That is part of the reasons we came here in this time, in this springtime of consciousness. We came here because we wanted to do this healing, that we wanted to deal with all of these things. This is part of our mission, right? So we came here knowing that we would be doing this type of healing. We signed up for this. So we can't be mad. Well, we can go through being mad, but we can't hold on to that because this is what we actually signed up for. This is part of our mission. The generations before us, they had different missions. They were dealing with different things, right? So this was not their priority. So there is nothing to forgive because they were doing the best that they could with what they had. They had other priorities. They were surviving things that we couldn't even imagine right now. If you were to be put in that situation, the likelihood is you would be reacting the same way. I always remember this. Um, this really stuck with me. One of my teachers said, I remember in homeopathy school, was like, never judge anybody, because if you were in their shoes, you would be doing the exact same thing that they are. This means if you were in their shoes with their DNA, with their life, with how they grew up, with their beliefs, all of it, like if you were fully in their shoes, you'd be doing the exact same thing. You wouldn't be any different. So it just really paints a beautiful picture of how we need to be compassionate with each other, and also that there's no mistakes, that everybody is exactly as they're meant to be, going through life exactly as they're meant to, learning things as they're meant to. It's not by accident. Like everything is as it is, right? So if you were in their shoes, if you're in your ancestors' shoes, you'd be doing the exact same thing because they're all doing their best, right? So there is nothing to forgive, but there also is something to forgive. There's nothing to forgive on their end, but there's something to forgive for you. And that is the frustration of you carrying something that's not yours. But you cannot skip to that part. You cannot get to that part of the compassion and of, just being like, there's nothing to forgive, until you actually do the healing, until you actually do the release and the the forgiveness on your part. So it's true that there's nothing that they need to be forgiven for, and that they did their absolute best, and that they had so much other stuff to deal with that we can't even imagine dealing with right now or going through. But also the other side exists, that you do need to release and let go and forgive. And both of these get to coexist. And that is the beautiful part of healing, because you cannot skip to the end. You cannot skip to like the forgiveness and there's nothing to forgive until you actually go through the journey. It is not something you can conceptualize. It is something that you have to feel. So logically, yes, you know that there is nothing that needs to be forgiven. But feeling wise, your feelings are saying something different until you deal with it. This is the same with child and parent relationships, right? There are things that you need to forgive your parents for. And this is this is part of ancestral healing, but this is like your family lineage healing. This is such a sensitive topic for so many people, right? It's like a door that doesn't even want to be opened. Like a lot of people automatically go into like, what would I forgive my parents for? Like, I know exactly why they did what they did. They, you use your adult mind to logic through it, and you know that everything is fine and you don't need to forgive, like your parents did the best they could and all of these things. But your feelings are telling you something different, right? So you also need to open that door and forgive your parents. So I've experienced this as well, thinking about um, like healing the inner child and healing parent wounds, right? So when I first started the journey, I was like, what? Our relationships are fine. There's nothing to forgive. Like, there's nothing there. I'm loved. My parents are supportive, all of these things. But there's always something there. And it's not like sometimes the parents do something that's obviously like that's hurtful or harmful or abusive. But sometimes it's your perception as a child of what the parents are doing that is hurtful to you. So this creates like small trauma moments. I don't like to use that term for this, but it is what it is, right? So it is moments that hurt you, moments that you perceive things in a certain way, and they could be different than what they actually are, or they could be what it actually was. But there will always be places where the parent has affected the child in a negative way. And even if you are a parent right now and just know this, even if you're a parent right now and you are just doing your best, you're on a healing journey, you are trying to be the best you can be and the best parent you can be, you are going to like negatively affect your kids in some way. You're going to hurt your kids in some way. You're going to traumatize your kids in some way. And it is because you're human, and it is also because it matters what their perception of the situation is, right? Like you could say no to them for any reason. You could say that they can't have the toy they want right now, and for some reason the way they perceive it is like they perceive lack or they perceive rejection. It just like it could be the smallest little thing. So no matter what we do, we can mess up our kids. You can't be perfect. No matter what you do, you're going to mess up your kids a little bit. So, in the same way, when you were a child, whether your relationship with your parents was clearly and openly strained, if you lived in a household that had a lot of fighting, if you were yelled at and name called, or if it was you were loved and it was small things that just added up that you just interpreted in a negative way, or maybe you didn't get the best, you came home with like a B plus and your parents wanted more from you and you took that in to mean you're a failure and that what you do is not enough, and all of these different things, all of these beliefs that can be all wound up in that. So you also need to forgive your parents. You need to open up that door and allow yourself to be mad, allow yourself to experience it again from that wounded child place, and then reprogram it as like the adult logic phase. But what most people do is they address they like look at the situations, and right away they go to the logic, to the bigger picture, to understanding everything that happened, to understanding why it happened the way it happened. But you're conceptualizing. This is being mental again, being in your mind and conceptualizing it. And that is not where the healing is. You can talk about it, you can logic it, you can conceptualize it all you want, but it is in the feeling it and the healing it that it actually like happens. It is in the feeling it. It is in the going back to that feeling, to that situation, and healing it from there. So you have to go back to that wounded child version of yourself. You have to allow yourself to be mad. You have to allow yourself to be frustrated, and then move through it. Then you release it, and then you can reprogram it to a more loving belief, and to actually getting to that space of forgiveness and letting go and resentment. Because whether you allow yourself to or not to look at it, you're carrying resentment towards your parents. You are carrying resentment and frustration, and you can say you're not, but you are. If you haven't dealt with this, if you haven't looked at it. And it'll show up in all these different little ways until you're ready to open that door and really look at it. So that's an important part of the ancestral healing as well, because so much of who we are and what we learn comes from, those experiences as a child. It comes from your DNA, and it also comes from the dynamics you observed in your parents. So this was how they treated you, how they treated each other, their dynamics in their relationships. All of that affects you, right? Because those are the examples that you had, and you regulated to the nervous systems. And a lot of people don't realize this, but kids are very sensitive. So kids attuned to your nervous system and who you're being and the example that you're setting, more so than what you say and what you tell them to do and what you teach them in that outward way. So they will learn from um, the example of how you are in your relationship, how you allow yourself to be treated, how you treat your child, all of these things. So it is so important as a parent to do that healing work and be mindful of the example that we set, because you're the first example that they have of relationships, of what relationship dynamics are, of how they deserve to be treated, of what they're worthy of abundance, like how you approach abundance and health and well-being and all of these things. So this is something that is passed down through who you're being. So it's important as a parent to do the healing work, and also as an adult that has been a child, it's important to go through that healing work and do that inner child healing and do that healing with your parents. Like forgive parents, forgive the ancestral line, so you can pass on lightness to the next generations, to them, like the best you can do, because like we spoke about, it's not going to be perfect no matter what. There will always be more to work on. You're always going to mess up your kids in some way or another, but what as you heal more, the things that they need to heal becomes lighter and lighter, less and less, or faster to move through, less heaviness, less layers of it. So all of it helps. And even if you're not having kids and you're not like concerned about passing it on, it's for you. It is for your lightness in your life that you're doing this. It is so that you don't have to carry these patterns anymore, these limitations, these fears, these dynamics in your relationships or towards yourself or how you treat yourself, all of these things. So, like we talked about, they can come from your ancestral line, they can come from your childhood, or they can come from your past life. They could come from something that happened to you in this lifetime. So, if it's something that happened to you in this lifetime, it's kind of the easiest. It's like obviously there, especially as an adult. You're like, oh, I'm afraid of public speaking because I spoke in the classroom and I got laughed at, and that was traumatizing, right? So that you can deal with. It's when it's these things that come through the lineage or from a past life, it's more sneaky, it's more hidden, and you're like, why am I this way? But it can all be healed and processed and released, and you deserve to heal it, and you deserve to let go, and you deserve to not carry this with you anymore, so that you can be that fully expressed light version of yourself that you imagine, so that you can feel good about yourself and good in your body and feel free, feel that freedom to express yourself, take up all the space you need, feel abundant. So many things that we carry just weigh us down and affect us in how we make everyday decisions and what we accept for ourselves. And there's just so much to it. But that's it for today, for what we had to talk about today. So, in conclusion, do you need to forgive your ancestors? Yes, but for you. The ancestral healing is for you, and you are releasing that tension that has been passed down through the ancestry. It won't be passed down anymore, but you're releasing it for you. So you have that freedom in your life that you have been looking for. You're setting yourself free of those old patterns. And at the same time, know that your ancestors don't need to be forgiven on their end, because they did the best that they could. They did so many great things, and they did a lot of their own healing in their lifetime. Like, don't think that you are the only one healing in your lineage. Everybody before you has also healed other things. They've moved through big things, through things that we're not even dealing with right now. But we also chose to come in during this lifetime to do a lot of this inner work and a lot of this healing. And another time, we are going to dive into past life healing as well. And we're also going to dive into relationship dynamics, because I feel like that's an important topic to dive into. I hope you are doing well, sending you lots of love, and working on editing my program, The World is Your Mirror, which is going to come out soon. You can get on the wait list. I'm really excited to be launching this into the world, because this program teaches you basically how to not be a victim in your life. We all tend to go into that victim mindset of, all these things are happening to me. I have to deal with stuff that's not even mine. Why is this person treating me this way? No matter what I do, it never works out. Anyways, all of thoughts like that. This program is going to teach you how to view the world through the lens of it being your mirror, and how to begin to actually address it and heal things from within you, so you can see it mirrored outside. And this is the real work, because so many people focus on pushing and doing the work externally, right? Like, it's not working out, so I'm just going to work harder, and I'm just going to add this other habit, and I'm just going to add more on my to-do list, and I'm just going to, you know, show up for work harder and work longer hours and blah blah blah. But it's not that. It is your energy that is what's being mirrored to you. And when you shift your energy, not only are you healing yourself like on a cellular level, and your body starts to respond differently, and you start to feel better in your body, but also the world starts mirroring to you your new frequency. This means that new opportunities come, Like if you're working on abundance, money can come from ways that you can't even imagine right now. Things just work out. You might be changing environments, moving houses, your relationship might be up leveling, or you find a new partner. If you're single, that's like aligned and you're actually like in the zone to recognize someone that's like in their divinity and ready for you. So this is the work that we do inside The World Is Your Mirror. And you basically learn how to do this for yourself. The people that took this in the live round talked about how it has forever changed their way they view the world, which is what we want. So this is what I'm here for. I'm here to help you change how you view the world so that you can actually shift. You can shift it. So you can get on the wait list. And if you're on the wait list, you're going to be the first to know when the program comes out. And you might get a little bonus or a discount with it as well. So we'll talk soon.